Not a good day for college football. We hope to make it a good night here at the voice of college football. Welcome into MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, on another Wednesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. call-in show. That's 8 o'clock Eastern time. We welcome you in for your analysis of college football as well. So we open up the phone lines at 860-499-3332. I will get that number to the bottom of the screen as we typically do. But first, we've got to let you know that you can help us build the channel by shopping at Amazon, and not just shopping at Amazon, but doing it with the link that we provide in the description section of the video. So please shop at Amazon. And we know that most of you do at some point during the year. And when you do so, there's no reason not to do it with our link that we provide in the description section. It's the same shopping experience, doesn't cost you a dime here at the Voice of College Football. All right, welcome in. I selected two very dreary, disturbing topics tonight. You ultimately produce the show, though. You know that. You ultimately produce the show. So whatever you guys want to talk about, leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics, your trash talk in the live chat. And also call us at 860-499-3332. And again, shop Amazon using the link that we provide. We've got free masks available as well. We've got 35 college football teams available. So please select your favorite team mask. Go to voiceofcollegefootball.com and go to the top of the screen. You'll see the menu item register for free. That's where you register for free. We get you the coupon code, and then you're off and running to get 20% off your first purchase that you don't need to take advantage of, but you get your free mask. Pick out your favorite team, get your free mask. Let's get to the news of the day. So the Darius GUICE situation has been going on for a while and has been known for a while. We're getting more information apparently today. I have yet to look at either one of these stories. And the news broke sometime this afternoon concerning former Florida State wide receiver Travis Rudolph. So let's make our way through that. I have not had an opportunity to look into either one of these matters. I've been either on a live stream or recording since 2 p.m. this afternoon. All right. Travis Rudolph has been arrested on charges of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder with a firearm in Palm Beach County, Florida, according to the sheriff's office. Sheriff's officers responded to a double shooting early Wednesday morning in Lake Park, Florida. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said one male was found dead in West Palm Beach, while another was transported from the scene of the shooting to the hospital. The sheriff's office did not have additional information, and the arrest report was not immediately available. Rudolph, 25 years old, Florida State's leading receiver in 2015 and 16, and finished his career with 2,311 receiving yards and 18 touchdowns before leaving early to enter the NFL draft. He went undrafted, but spent time with both the New York Giants and Miami Dolphins, as well as having a stint in the Canadian Football League. Rudolph finished his NFL career with 8 catches for 101 yards. He gained national attention in 2016 for eating lunch with an autistic student during a team visit to Montford Middle School in Tallahassee, Florida. Leah Paskey, the student's mother, posted video of the moment to Facebook, where it quickly went viral. A year later, Rudolph's father was killed at a Florida nightclub after a gun was accidentally discharged, with the bullet going through a wall and striking Daryl Rudolph in the neck or in the back as he was conducting repairs in another room. Rudolph is also the cousin of former NFL star Devin Hester. Innocent until proven guilty. We'll let the legal process play out in this one, but Travis Rudolph, former Florida State Seminole, charged with first-degree murder and also first-degree attempted murder. More coming down concerning former LSU running back Adarius GUICE. Actually, this is concerning Ed Orgeron's statement concerning GUICE that was submitted to Louisiana State Senate Committee on Tuesday. Orgeron said he considered former running back Darius GUICE's alleged sexual harassment of Gloria Scott in 2017, quote, utterly unacceptable, but denied ever speaking to Scott directly about the matter. Orgeron's statement contradicts some of what Scott told the committee on March 26th when she recalled how she was working as a security worker at the Superdome in New Orleans in December of 17, when GUICE, then an LSU running back, approached her and told her in front of his friends that, I like having sex with older women like you, and I want your body. Those are direct quotes. So we've posted videos with Lon Phillips Sullivan of LSU Odyssey concerning this particular incident, and this is basically an update of Ed Orgeron's statement, his written statement to the Louisiana State Senate Committee on Tuesday concerning the incident, the supposed incident, in which he stated it was utterly unacceptable. All right. On that note, let's talk some college football here at the Voice of College Football, whether that be the Travis Rudolph incident, in which we can only speculate. We don't want to condemn the young man yet. And Darius GUICE, again, the latest is being Ed Orgeron's response to the Senate Committee in Louisiana. All right. What do you fine folks have? Christopher Fiore. Hi. The Rod Farva. Wow, just now seeing the news about Travis Rudolph. Yeah. Let's also understand that it's not news necessarily. The news is that he's been charged. He's not been convicted. Dano, too bad to hear about Rudolph. Louis, good to see you. Thank you so much for encouraging everyone, Louis, to hit the like button and to share the videos on social media. Appreciate that. Sad about Rudolph and Gladney. Sad for all the families and victims. Rod Farbaugh. So are we going to hold Rudolph's college coach accountable for this, since everyone blames Urban Meyer for his former players' off-field issues? I would hope not. Any particular college coach's responsibility is to be a good example and create an environment in which student athletes are supported, in which student athletes are held accountable, in which they are instructed to treat people the right way and attend school and take their studies seriously and be good citizens. That's what the head coach and the coaching staff are charged to do, at least the way I see it. D-Rock Irish, good to see you as well. Good evening. GR Gazelles, good to see you here as well. The Rod Farva says, how is LSU's basketball coach still employed when he's on FBI wiretap admitting to offering players money? I don't know. I have heard that. That's as far as I know about that situation as well. That's what I'm asking the Rod Farva. Anyway, any good news in college football today? Let's talk college football. Again, I am open to discuss these topics, of course, because I put them on the table to start the show, but also I want to talk college football. Hey, James Scott, good to see you right here. We've had an action-packed day at the Voice of College Football with Ohio State Buckeyes live at 2, Florida State Seminoles live at 6. Both of those were anniversary specials of sorts. show number 100 for each show tonight. And we're back at it. And I didn't necessarily have a topic tonight. I was hit with these two news stories. And I was going to present the topic or the debate, the discussion, the title, the subject of parity in college football. I ran some numbers, and there's a number of ways that you can do this. The first look that I took at it was to measure the number of teams that had finished in the top 5 in the country over the span of the college football playoff era, which encompasses 7 seasons, to see how many different teams finished in the AP poll top 10, top 5 to end the season, and then compare that to other stretches of time that span 7 years throughout the 80s, 90s, and 2000s to see how many different teams reached the top 5 or the top 10 in the nation over a certain period of time, to try to measure, is this lack of parity actually something is it reality? It appears to be reality. The numbers that I compiled weren't quite as egregious as I would have thought. So since 2015, so that's the last 6 years of the college football playoff, there have been 8 different teams finish in the top 3 in the country. So there has to be at least 3, because even if those same 3 teams finished in the top 3 in the country during those 6 years, then that would be 3 teams that finished in the top 3. But in addition to Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama, LSU finished in the top 3 during that time frame since 2015. Stanford did. Washington did. Possibly Notre Dame. Oklahoma did. So we had 8 teams, and then I took that back to other 6-year stretches. And the most balanced I saw college football based on that measurement was between 1980 and 86. For those 7 seasons, 14 different teams finished in the top 3 in the country. GR Gazelles believes that Justin Fields' draft stock has dropped. It definitely dropped following the national championship game. I don't think it's dropped since his pro day, because that was an impressive display by him. You can catch me at the number on the ticker, 860-499-3332, to talk college football. Got a ton of great content that we've released in recent days. Our Florida State and Ohio State live shows coming up in the next few days. You're going to see reports on Arkansas, Texas A&M, Clemson, and Michigan. We also have released recent videos on Oklahoma, Michigan, USC, Florida State, Oregon, Clemson. My Big Ten coaches rankings. Don't know if you guys had a chance to check that out. Please check that out, my Big Ten football coaches rankings, to see what you think there. Of course, we've covered Ohio State, LSU, Iowa, Nebraska. We went live with Nebraska Football Talk last night. We hope to be back every Tuesday night talking Nebraska at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We've also done our coaches rankings for the ACC and the Pac-12. I wanted to have all the conferences done by the end of last week. I didn't get there, but the SEC is coming, as well as the Big 12. Check out our website at voiceofcollegefootball.com. Understand that we just launched about 6 weeks ago, so we have a lot of work to do, but we're proud of it. We think it looks good, and we've got a lot to add to it. As soon as I figure out some things, as soon as I kind of flesh through my thoughts of what I'd like to build out, then we'll be announcing some exciting opportunities here at the Voice of College Football for all of you to get involved in what we do. I would love to do a fantasy football league this season, and also something with predictions. Get you guys involved in predictions. That would be cool. Well, Jordan, we don't know. It certainly doesn't look good, because most of the time when somebody is taken in and they are accused, most of the time we know what the outcome is. People don't get accused typically with flimsy evidence. So as Jordan is mentioning here, Travis Rudolph, again, was depicted in a video, yes, befriending the child with autism. I'd forgotten about that, but now remember that after reading the news report. Eight 860-499-3332. Can also join me on Patreon for watch parties. We're going to do a watch party in the next 2 weeks. I think I know the winner of the watch party contest. So we asked our Patreon members at the Voice of College Football community, who do you want us to watch as a watch party for spring football? And I think we've got our winner. So we'll be announcing that soon, and we'll take in the watch party. James is letting us know. I can load my weekly predictions schedule for you. It's a slate of 20 games culminating with the bowl pick'em at season's end. James, I appreciate that. However, I don't want some outside source dictating to me what games I'm going to predict. I will make the selection on what games I'm going to predict myself. And then if we run some kind of a challenge in which we have everyone predict games each week, there might be a more democratic way to do it, but it would just take too much time and effort. And yeah, it would just be too involved to try to get everybody's input into what games should be on the slate each week. So basically, I'll determine that. Justin Fields took a sports psychology evaluation aptitude test where 6,500 college pro athletes were tested. That tests learning efficiency, and Justin Fields scored a 130. Pat Mahomes scored a 108 out of, I didn't see that. I'll look it up. Saw that on Pat McAfee's show where he had Mark Sanchez on. Sanchez spoke to the psychologist who gives the test. Yeah, so that sounds like something similar to the Wonderlic test, possibly. Got a call coming in from Dominic. Hello, Dominic. Welcome to the Voice of College Football.
Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to talk about the Ohio State spring game coming up.
Yeah, they're going to play a week from Saturday.
A week from this Saturday.
Absolutely, the 24th.
Okay, a week from Saturday, which is the 24th. Got it.
I believe
so
that's
I wanted
the
to
date.
Talk about.
Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about that game for a bit. So, what do you think of that game? Do you think the Ohio State quarterback is going to do any good for that game? I forgot his name. What was it?
Well, Dominic, they've got 3 quarterbacks vying for the job. So that is the central focus to watching the game this year, is to see how well those 3 players throw the ball.
You do have a good point there. Well, I think those 3 quarterbacks might do good for that game. In that Ohio State spring game. But you never know what can happen. You just never know what can happen, am I right?
No, we don't know what's going to happen. Well, thanks for the call, Dominic. Appreciate it.
Great. Yep.
Yes. Another riveting call there. All right. Cheryl, thank you so much for stopping by. Saw you in the last live stream. Always appreciate Cheryl taking care of business here. Oh, yeah, we were going to look at the Justin Fields score on what test is this? Is there a name to this test? Evaluation aptitude test. Justin Fields was wrongly got pop-ups all over the place. All right. Justin Fields has wrongly gone through the kind of pre-draft critique that too many black quarterbacks have dealt with in the past. Okay. We're not going to read this from some moron who automatically puts a racial slant on everything, apparently, right out of the gate. Okay. Great. And that was supposedly a reputable source. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to okay. This is the exact same article on Yahoo that's on NBC Sports. All right. It's good to not be working for one of these hack outfits. All right. I'll try to get some more information on that at some point. Matthew asking how the team up north and Ohio State is still a rivalry. It's a rivalry based on interest and tradition. It's based on pageantry. It's based on name brand. It's based on history. It's still a rivalry because of all those factors. I still consider it a great, great rivalry. Has it been competitive? No. So can a rivalry be a rivalry and then cease to be a rivalry and then become a rivalry again? Depends on your vantage point. So we know it was a rivalry. I would like for somebody to tell me when it ceased to be a rivalry. What was the magical year? What was the magical game or the magical time frame? The moment when it ceased to be a rivalry. It's like when people call me up and say, start debating national championships, and they clearly are not counting national championships from a certain time frame. And then I ask them their viewpoint and their cutoff date, and it's some arbitrary date. 1980. Suddenly, people started playing college football legitimately in 1980. So we're only going to count national championships after 1980. Similarly, I understand the point. I don't agree with the point, but I get it. And it's valid. I'm not saying it's not valid. Some people offer up viewpoints that are idiotic. That's not an idiotic viewpoint. I understand it, Matthew. I think it's legit that you ask that question, and I respect somebody who would say that that's no longer a rivalry because Ohio State wins every year. But again, when did that cease being a rivalry? When more people watch the game than any other college game of the year, when more people attend the games, and it provides, again, the most interest online, I just think people will stop paying attention to it. And that may be a better indication for me that it stopped being a rivalry. Is Oregon State a rivalry? To the Rod Farva's point when he said something about a number of the rivalry games not being competitive, Oregon has a huge lead over Oregon State. The rivalry's not close all time. Is it a rivalry? Well, those people in Oregon think it's a rivalry, and they're the people to determine whether that's a rivalry. What they used to call the Civil War, that we're no longer allowed to call the Civil War. I think we're taking things to a ridiculous extreme. Washington State's not close all time. Is that a rivalry for the Apple Cup? I would happen to say it is. It's a rivalry. The Washington State, it's not close, but it's a rivalry. USC and UCLA is not close. All time is not close. It's a rivalry. Most of the rivalries are not close. Most of the Florida-based rivalries are close because those teams emerged around the same time. So if you look at the Florida State rivalry, which I believe is 36-26, Miami and Florida State's close. Florida's close. Those are all close. Florida State, Miami, Florida State, and whichever one I didn't name between the three. Those are all close. Texas and Texas A&M, when they played, wasn't close. It's not close. And let's see if we can back up what I'm claiming here. We'll go to Winsipedia and look at Oregon State. This may take too long. But we'll go with Oregon State. And I'm going to say that Oregon wins 80+% of these games all time. It's 66-48. 66-48. So it's more of a recent, yes. So since 1975, let's go 1975. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oregon State wins since 1975, 75, 21. That's 46 games. So it's 36-10 in the last 46 years. Mr. TW, thank you so much for the support. Appreciate that. Absolutely appreciate that, Mr. TW. Sorry for being missing in action. You have been missing in action. Hopefully everything's good with you. Would love to see you back here. Mark is still the voice of college football. Love the show like y'all. Mr. TW, thank you so much. A reminder to everyone that we are going to thrive here at the voice of college football in a number of ways, and in creating multiple revenue streams. So one of those is going to be your individual contributions. Would also love to get some sponsorships here. And you can help us out there if you know of anyone who owns a business that could benefit from sponsoring Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, or you yourself do. Please contact me. You can always, all of you can always contact me at any time. If you got any kind of suggestion or question or request, at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. All right, let's get to Mr. T-Dub.
Hey, how's it going, Mark? The
I'm
voice
doing
of
well.
college football. How are you?
I am doing great. How's it going?
Going really good. Sorry for being MIA, man. It's just been busy. You know how this gets.
Absolutely do, and I appreciate the contribution. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm enjoying the conversation you're having, talking about rivalry. This is right up my alley in the day of manufactured rivalries that are as plastic and as useless as the toys your kids get in the Happy Meals. These manufactured rivals are boring beyond description. The Arkansas-Mizzou rivalry, nobody considers that a rivalry. Literally no one. The Razorback or Mizzou fan base considers that a rivalry. We had a great rivalry going in the SEC with LSU. That was wonderful. And then they took LSU and A&M and made them a rivalry, which neither program thinks that's a rivalry. I love our non-conference rivalry games. We're playing Texas this year. We have a long history going back to the Southwest Conference days, to which I would love to see a resurrection of the old Southwest Conference and maybe add Oklahoma State, since the Big 12 is probably floundering in its last decade of existence. But I love the old rivalries. And we need to keep breathing life into these old rivalries. We did a home and home with Texas Tech. The fans loved it. We did a home and home with TCU. The fans loved it. We play A&M every year at Dallas. That it is what it is. But these natural decades-long, some of these century-long rivalries, we need to allow these to happen no matter what.
It's a great point, Mr. TW. We just had a conversation with Ty Hudson from Pig Trail Network, and we started to dive into future schedules and his thoughts about the Arkansas schedule. And he was very similar to you in wanting to really tap into Texas for two different reasons, because that's where most of those old Southwest Conference rivalries exist. And also, number two, from a recruiting standpoint, taking advantage of playing those games and with those connections to Texas talent. My thoughts about the SEC and the ACC schedules, this is what annoys me about both the ACC and the SEC approach to scheduling, is that when they divided into divisions, and I'll take the SEC for example, it applies to both, they separated certain teams, certain rivalries like Alabama and Tennessee. It's a great rivalry. It's not competitive now, but it's a great all-time rivalry. Auburn and Georgia, the same thing. And so they set up a format in which those two teams, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, LSU to a certain extent, could play every year. And I fully support that. That keeps the rivalry going. But there was no reason to match up the rest of the teams in the other slots. They've created artificial rivalries out of Texas A&M and South Carolina play every year. And Mississippi State and Kentucky and Ole Miss and Vandy. And like you say, Arkansas and Missouri, when Arkansas and LSU had a great thing going, playing every Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving every year. That was a game I always loved watching. And now they've got to match up Arkansas and Mizzou. I absolutely agree.
What would your opinion be on, of course, there's a lot of things, but getting rid of the divisions in the SEC, no East, no West, just doing I would love to see a 9-conference season. I think most teams want that, even though you're in the SEC. What would you see about keeping those rivalry games, but going to sort of a lottery system or some kind of a rotation to where it's not just East-West, it's the best two teams out of the whole conference will play in the championship meeting?
So before I answer that, I'm going to take one more perspective on the way it's set up right now for anybody who's defending the current system to give one more clarification on how bad this system is. Texas A&M and South Carolina, no one would argue that they have any connection whatsoever. Let's say the SEC keeps its scheduling format for the next 60 years. 60 years. Texas A&M and South Carolina will play 60 times. They will play every year. They will play 60 times. in the same span of time, Alabama and Georgia, for example, or Georgia and Texas A&M, or Texas A&M and Florida. Take a number of great games. They will play 10 times versus 60 will only play 10 times in 60 years. That's crazy to me. Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. See, I put together a scheduling format in which everybody would play a composite 500 schedule. You still with us, Mr. T-Dub?
Oh, I'm sorry. I know there's a delay in this, but on that, it's like, why is Arkansas only playing Tennessee every 4 to 6 years?
Every 6.
I mean, they every 6 years. And then they will say, well, you in Missouri, this goes back to Jeff Long, the genius, being our athletic director, thinking it was a great thing to give away the Golden Boot rivalry game the Friday after Thanksgiving. Like you said, Arkansas could be terrible, and we pulled off some upsets in that rivalry game, either keeping them from going to a national championship or, if there had been playoffs, to a playoff. I mean, those were consequential games. And then we take on Missouri as a rivalry. I don't even think that the SEC has fully embraced Mizzou being a legitimate SEC team, to be quite honest. And the way it's set up now, I think we, as a conference, stab ourselves in the foot a lot with the scheduling we have. And I'm going to be quiet and let you finish your point.
So the scheduling format that I set up, my main goal was to create a balanced schedule, meaning that everyone would play a fair schedule. So this really hit me in the face, Mr. T-Dub, about 8 or 9 years ago when I was looking at the SEC schedule, and I noticed that in comparing Alabama and LSU and trying to predict what was going to happen that season, that in that particular year, of course, they're in the same division, so they play each other, then they play the same 5 teams. So their schedule is exactly the same in 6 of 8 games. But in the other 2 games, LSU was playing Georgia and Florida, who had gone a combined 14-2 in the SEC the year before. 14-2. Alabama's 2 non-division games were against Tennessee and Kentucky, who had gone 1-15 in the SEC the previous year. So basically, you're asking 2 teams to compete for a division championship in which they play the exact schedule in 6 of the 8 games. But one team has to play 2 teams that went 14-2 the year before, and the other team plays 2 teams that went 1-15. Is that fair? And see, I can find those multiple times every season in the SEC and the ACC because they both have the same format. And it's just ridiculous how imbalanced the schedules are, and they don't have to be. And much of it's created by these artificial rivalries. So I know you don't care most likely about the ACC, but Boston College and Virginia Tech, much like South Carolina and Texas A&M, have nothing to do with each other, no connection, but they play every year because they have the same stupid system.
Right. Well, there's got to be a better way. And ultimately, you're producing a product for the fans. And SEC football is going to be watched at a high level. I think most Midwest and Southern states are going to have a high number of football viewership on whatever channel. But I think if you look at those particular faux rivalries, I think you do see the numbers drop. I literally could care less about the Mizzou. Literally could care less about Mizzou. So, put that Arkansas LSU game back in, or like you said, go back to the system, the system that you're talking about, where you're truly playing for an SEC championship because you have played more than the same 6 teams every year. You're legitimately mixing things up, and we would love the opportunity to play South Carolina every other year, or shoot, as hard as our scheduling is, we'd love to have Vandy at least once every. Our 2022 schedule is unbelievably tough, but that's just the way it is in the SEC. I think it brings more equity when you're able to allow a team to play across this conference rather than lock it down. And let me say, I did see the Ty Hudson video. Mark, you guys have great chemistry. I love watching those videos. I wish you were able to put those out on a weekly basis because they're tremendously informative. We really appreciate all that you do for college football and keeping all of the fan bases informed. And for all the people watching, make sure you click like, or the FBI may surveil your phones. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, T-Dub. Appreciate that so much. And I just took note of that. I will reach out to Ty. I don't know what his schedule is, but we should be able to work in 15 or 20 minutes every week. We shall see. I got Robert on the line who wants to talk a little Florida football. Robert, how are we doing tonight?
Is Robert Copeland.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
in a Gator mask.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Oh, we might be losing
Hello.
you. Yes.
Yeah, I want to get a Gator mask.
All right. Are you online right now?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you? Then I will tell you exactly how to do it. We can do this step by step right together if you'd like, or I can just tell you how to do it. Go to voiceofcollegefootball.com. So that's voiceofcollegefootball.com.
No spaces?
No spaces. voiceofcollegefootball.com. And you're going to see a picture of Alabama and Ohio State going at it. Did that come up for you yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just go to the top of the screen there. It says register for free. So basically,
Okay, yeah. He had this. The only problem was whenever we went to the Florida category or whatever, we only seen like tailgates and stuff like that. We didn't see the mask under the Florida.
Okay.
I got them anyway.
Well, hang on just a second. We'll do this. Let me look at this. I think you can go another way. Let me do it. See what I come up with. So if you go to store, let's make sure. So there are Florida masks. We've got everybody in the SEC except South Carolina. So if you go to, let's see, home. If you go to store and you scroll down, it says face masks.
Yes, I see it.
Let's see. So you're not finding Florida. I may have to look into that and see if those are sold out. Possibly. I don't know. Let's see. Or we've given those away. Let's see. Where is Florida? I don't see them either. All right. Well, let me get on that. And would you do me a favor and just send me an email at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com?
Yeah.
And I'll follow up on that for you. I appreciate you letting us know that, because I don't keep track of this stuff. But thank you so much.
I really appreciate the content.
Sure. Have a good night. All right. And now we got, again, voice recognition. I'm not even going to try to figure out who that might be. Hey, it's the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, it's McD Sports 4. How are you?
Oh, it's McD. I'm doing just fine. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm here to talk about your Big Ten coach ranking and why you are wrong about paying Mike Locksley at number 13.
Okay.
Mike Locksley, yes, might not be the best coach when it comes to on the field, but there's no way he's the 13th best head coach in the league. I am putting him ahead of Scott Frost, produced coach Jeff Brom, and Greg Schiano right now, which will put him at what, 10th? I'll put him as the 10th best head coach in the Big Ten.
Mike Locksley is 3-11 in the Big Ten.
Well, I look at how the program is trending right now as well.
Well, when that actually happens, McD, on the field, then I will evaluate him accordingly. But it hasn't happened.
I think the way I look at, it's not all about what happens on the field. You have to look at the whole picture.
Oh, I'm looking at the full picture. I think if you watch the videos, I'm not just throwing out a record and saying, bam, that's where I'm going to throw the coach's rankings. I'm looking at the full picture, and I see a full picture that includes going 2-26 with 2 off-field incidents at New Mexico, and then coming to Maryland and going 3-11. And he's recruiting well, fairly well. And so I just want to see that come into play. I want to see that produce on the field.
Well, I believe that Maryland is trending a lot better than the 4 programs that I see behind Locksley. So that's why I put him at 10. And I think Locksley's also recruiting better than all 4 of those programs as well.
You think Mike Locksley's done a better job than Jeff Brom?
Yep, I do.
And I don't like where Purdue's trending right now, but Jeff Brom took over a program that had, I believe, 8 consecutive losing seasons, and they went to 2 pretty good bowl games his first 2 years. Then they had 1 down year, 1 bad 4-8 season, and then this COVID year where they didn't play many games. I don't know what Purdue finished, 2-5, 3-5, something in that range. So it's not like I was applauding Jeff Brom either. I ranked him, 11th? 12th? 12th.
And I agree. I think he ranked him 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I think Greg Schiano is way too high. I think he's the 13th best head coach. I mean, I know it's Rutgers, but all he's going to do is just be up on the bad teams in the Big Ten, be up on maybe an easy non-conference schedule. He's never going to be Ohio State.
You think Mike Locksley has done a better job at Maryland than Greg Schiano has at Rutgers?
And his second tenure, yes, I do.
Really?
Because that's the cap for Rutgers in the Big Ten going 3-6.
Okay, so first of all, Greg Schiano, I am taking into consideration to a certain extent that he was at Rutgers for 11 seasons, and he produced at Rutgers like nobody ever has. He finished 12th in the country one year. He got them to bowl games, decent bowl games every year, year after year after year after year. Okay, he comes back to Rutgers. They had lost, McD. I don't need to tell you this. You know this. They had lost 21 consecutive Big Ten games, and most of them were utter embarrassments, were atrocious. And he walks in that place, doesn't have time to recruit or bring in or flip the roster, and he wins 3 Big Ten games in his first season, in a short season. They'd lost 21 straight Big Ten games, most of those by like 50 points.
I mean, and there's nothing I could really, I mean, and that's pretty good. I mean, to me, that's what he is in the Big Ten. He's only 3-6 every year. If you look at the potential of Locksley, I think he'd be better than 3-6 in the Big Ten. I think Brom could be better than 3-6 in the Big Ten. I still think that Scott Frost is going to be better than 3-6 in the Big Ten. Mel Tucker is the dead last head coach, only because we haven't seen enough from him. You know, he did beat Michigan, which was nice, but I just think Locksley, if you look at potential, you look at recruiting and everything. Yeah, the on-field record really brings him down a lot, but I think he is the 10th best head coach in the Big Ten.
Okay. I'll defend my ranking. I would reconsider if I thought there was something there that I missed. I don't believe that there is. I don't necessarily, you know, that you're welcome to call me up anytime. You know that. You've been calling me for years. We always have a great discussion. But the difference between 10th place in the Big Ten and 13th place in the Big Ten, I don't necessarily know if that's worth a discussion.
That is true. I mean, both are pretty bad as of right now. But I agree with you. Loxley's record on the field has been pretty garbage. I mean, and one other thing I will say, I saw a lot of improvement in year 2 when he went ahead and beat Minnesota and Penn State, 2 teams that he got blown out by in year 1.
Yes.
That's improvement right there.
I was seriously intrigued with
Penn State took a step back.
Yeah, we had conversations. We had conversations right around that time, and I think you could tell I was seriously, genuinely intrigued with Maryland coming off that ridiculously awful Northwestern game in week 1, getting down by 17 points to Minnesota, having lost all those games that they did at the end of the previous season. I was fascinated with them being able to come back against Minnesota when they looked dead in the water, win that game, then go to Happy Valley the next week and beat Penn State. And then the rest of the year they didn't play well. The Indiana game was competitive for a little while, but
that game was disappointing.
Yeah, they didn't play well offensively.
The past 3 years, even before Loxley got there, Maryland should beat Indiana all 3 of those years. It came down to execution. If Maryland could just execute against them, they're beating Indiana every year. I mean, it's disappointing. Whenever we face Indiana, we just can't execute. I don't think Indiana is that much better than Maryland. And matter of fact, I think we're pretty much dead even. Indiana might be a little bit better. Like this past season, I think they were a little bit better, but it comes down to execution whenever you face against each other.
I agree. I don't think Indiana is decidedly better than Maryland from a talent perspective. Actually, the recruiting rankings would tell us that Maryland's better.
Absolutely. I mean, I have Tom Allen as the 9th best head coach in the Big Ten for a reason. I think he took advantage of a weak Big Ten this past season when Penn State and Michigan was down. And he had probably his best team. Well, not his best team, but Indiana had his best team like in 25 years. So that, in a full season, they would have won 9 games. But, I think Loxley. I think we're 2-3 years on the road. I think Loxley's going to be moving up from 13th in the ranking.
Okay.
I mean,
it's also always a difficult ranking because I'm trying to rank them currently, but I also have to take into consideration what they've done in the past because, you know, if I just went strictly by what they had most recently done, then it's a crazy ranking. There's no perspective on it because then James Franklin's the 2nd best coach in the Big Ten. Then suddenly he's the 9th best coach in the Big Ten just because he has a bad season.
I think James Franklin's the 3rd best head coach in the Big Ten. So.
Yeah, that's where I went with him on that one. Yeah, he's doing a nice job. Certainly this is a big year for him.
I think he had enough to 2. I forgot who he had 2. Because I'm pretty sure I knew
I had Ryan Day at 2.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who did he have 1 then?
Pat Fitzgerald.
Wow. Now, I disagree with that, but wow. I think Ryan Day's clearly 1 and Phil Chris is 2.
Okay.
So I think Pat Fitzgerald's already. I think he's 5. I'll put Jim Harbaugh ahead of Pat Fitzgerald.
You think Jim Harbaugh is doing a better job than Pat Fitzgerald?
If you take away the Ohio State games and look at Harbaugh's record, it's ridiculous. I mean, Jim Harbaugh beat just about everybody that he's supposed to beat. And then if he's like 50-50 in the top 25 games, if you take away from Ohio State. Pat Fitzgerald, in my opinion, is in the weaker division out of the two. And as Pat Fitzgerald, does he have a good team in Northwestern those years? Yes, but I mean, he has a history of losing to MAC teams early in the season. And basically, when I think of Northwestern, 9-3, 10-2, to me, Michigan, they have to grind their teeth to the East and they have to go up against the Penn State, the Michigan State back when Mike, I forget his last name, Mike DeVito was the head coach. So I do think Harbaugh is better than Northwestern. I think it's a tougher resume at Michigan.
I think Pat Fitzgerald is clearly at an institution where it's more difficult to win than it is at Michigan. And what he's done is, and that's part of my ranking, is to try to take it into context of how difficult it is to win at that program.
Harbaugh also won at Stanford as well.
Yeah, and again, I'm taking that into consideration. Most people think I overrank Jim Harbaugh, if anything. People are down on Jim Harbaugh. Yes, I state that every time I do rankings, which is just about every year, that I am so impressed with what Jim Harbaugh accomplished at his other stops. He built the Stanford program. David Shaw didn't do it. David Shaw maintained it up until the last couple of years. Jim Harbaugh built it. Then he went to the San Francisco 49ers, and they were going 2-14 before he showed up. And then suddenly they're going to NFC championship games and Super Bowls. And then he goes to Michigan. They were 5-7 the year before he got there. Then he went 10-3. But he is not performing to the level of Lloyd Carr, who was the last capable coach at Michigan.
I just think Harbaugh is better than people give him credit for right now. And he does deserve to get bashed for losing to Ohio State every year, but he's still a pretty damn good head coach at the end of the day.
Sure, he is.
That's why I have him at 4.
Okay. And if I looked back on my previous rankings, I probably have him in that range, if not higher. I just think his recent work has not been good.
And I think, I mean, in the middle of the pack is always tough. I think Kirk Ferentz is 6. I mean, you always ask him about his non-conference schedule. And in the defense they will have is they face Iowa State, a Power 5 team every year, which is better than Iowa this year. But I think he's 6. And then Brett Bielema is 7. I think you could bash him about Arkansas, but I mean, I think there was an argument there at Arkansas. Like, he had like 2 good years there at Arkansas during his 5-year tenure. I mean, he had 2 decent years in the SEC West that 7-5 might be like the 6th best team in the SEC West. So, and he did good things at Wisconsin. And I think he's going to do good things at Illinois. Do you think I'll be crazy saying that I think he could go 8-4 consistently at Illinois?
If Brett Bielema goes 8-4 consistently at Illinois, and we'll give him a couple years to do that, that would be a tremendous job. If he's able to do that, I'm thinking more the 6-6, 7-5 range. But to maintain 8 wins at Illinois, that would be a stellar job.
I think he can do it. I really do. And then I think PJ Fleck is ahead of Tom Allen only because PJ Fleck had a 11-win season and Tom Allen has not. So.
Pat
And then we have
Fitzgerald.
Rocky at 10.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pat Fitzgerald is 5th.
He has won his last 4 bowl games, too.
He's also been there longer.
Well, I'm just saying, Pat Fitzgerald, the last 4 years has won 4 bowl games. Jim Harbaugh has lost 4 consecutive bowl games.
I'm still paying Harbaugh ahead of Pat Fitzgerald, though, at the end of the day. I just think I think Michigan would have been to India during the Big Ten West several times. Just like Pat Fitzgerald has been in India.
All right, McD.
But,
anything else?
Just wanted to air my grievances to help Mike Locksley. I really think he's going to do well, Mark. Well, maybe not like competing for national championships or anything, but I think he can consistently win 8-9 games at Mayo and year in and year out. I really do.
Well, I think we looked at his schedule about a month ago, and I'm looking at 6-6 as being a great step in the right direction this year, and I think it's doable.
He better make a bowl game this year. If he doesn't make a bowl game this year, Mark, I will concede that he's the 13th best head coach in the Big Ten.
Okay, very good.
So,
all right, McD, appreciate
I'll
it.
concede to you. Okay, see ya.
All right, McD sticking up for Mike Locksley. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, we've got our coaches rankings out in the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12. So check them out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. All right. The phone lines have died down. Might be a good jumping off point unless somebody else has anything for me at 860-499-3332. Let's see. Wednesday going into Thursday. Thursday. What do we've got? We've got a Miami doubleheader for you on Thursday at 5 and 7. So 5 o'clock Eastern time with the Wholesome one, 7 o'clock with Cam Underwood from State of the U. I'm going to be recording some Virginia Tech football tomorrow night. I know that. And then on Friday, Oklahoma, and all sorts of other good stuff. This Saturday, there's an NC State spring game at 1 and Florida State at 5. I'm definitely going to go live after the Florida State game, which should be about 7 or 7:30. 7 or 7:30, we're going live with Florida State Football Talk right here. I'll take your calls. And, of course, it's wide open to talk about anything in college football, but it's going to be after the Florida State spring game. And maybe we'll get some Florida State analysis on here. And who knows, maybe after NC State at 1 o'clock. I'll be taking in that game as well. Let me double check our spring schedule. Because then the next week, we will probably be here like all day. All right. So this coming Saturday is the 10th. Northern Illinois, UCF, NC State, Troy, UAB, Florida State, Boise State. Okay, with NC State at 1 and Florida State at 5, definitely going live after the Florida State spring game at 7. Okay. The next Friday, we've got some group of 5 teams playing. Then the next Saturday on the 17th, Miami at 11 a.m. We're going live after the Miami game at 1. We've got a slew of SEC teams playing on the 17th. Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Georgia. So after all those clear and I get to see most of that, we'll go live at some point Saturday evening on the 17th to wrap up a big day in the SEC. And also with Miami and TCU. Ohio State has yet to schedule for the 17th. USC for the 17th as well. Illinois is playing on a Monday night. I actually canceled the Big Ten Network recently. I might have to crank that back up and go live after the Illinois game. And then that's Saturday, the 24th. We've got Baylor, Oklahoma State, Pitt, West Virginia, South Carolina, Texas A&M, North Carolina, Tennessee. A lot of big teams. Oklahoma, Ole Miss will probably go live after the Oklahoma spring game. And maybe after one of the afternoon games like South Carolina is going to be on the SEC network and Texas A&M as well. All right, May 1st as well. Notre Dame, Kansas, Nebraska. So, yeah. Every Saturday during the month of April and then going into May, we will be going live after the spring games. After the major teams are playing spring games, we'll be here live taking your calls. Because that's what we do. Jason, letting us know. Monmouth and Kennesaw State on April 10th at 1. The brawl for it all. The Ace 2 asking about Gary Moeller. What do I think of Gary Moeller? Coach after Bo, before Carr. Absolutely. That's the Gary Moeller. So, Bo's last season was 1989. He took Michigan to Rose Bowls his last 2 years against USC. He won one, he lost one. Unfortunately, he lost his last game in Michigan in the Rose Bowl against USC. Gary Moeller took over in 1990. Michigan went 9-3. They obliterated Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl. And Michigan actually tied for the Big Ten championship that year under Gary Moeller in 1990. 91-92, 2 excellent Michigan teams. One went undefeated. Why did they not win the national championship in 1992? Well, they tied 3 games, including the regular season finale at Ohio Stadium. So Michigan went 9-0-3. I believe they finished number 3 in the country in 92. They won the Rose Bowl over an excellent Washington team that had won a share of the national championship in 91 and defeated Michigan in the Rose Bowl in 91. So a split against Mark Brunell and Don James and company at Washington in the Rose Bowl. Then 1993, a bit of a disappointing campaign for Gary Moeller, but capped off with a big win against Ohio State, an undefeated Ohio State team, 28-0. I think I was talking to David Greenshield. He brought up that game the other day about that just being inexplicable. Gary Moeller was having a tremendous run in Michigan, but unfortunately his off-the-field conduct, he was a bit of a drinker and had some issues. Let's see if we can pull up exactly. This has been so long that from a football standpoint, I can run through all the games, Ace 2. But in terms of the off-the-field issues, Okay, I don't see anything here. Anyway, his last 2 years at Michigan were decent, 8-4, 8-4. His last game, regular season game, they lost to Ohio State. Then they won the Holiday Bowl in 1994 over Colorado State with Todd Collins at quarterback, who played in the NFL forever. So Gary Muller's final numbers were 44-13 at Michigan, 30-8 in the Big Ten. So he had a good run at Michigan. I thought he was pretty exceptional at Michigan. He wasn't legendary, but he finished in the top 20 all 5 seasons, in the top 10 3 of the 5 seasons. He won at least a share of the Big Ten championship 3 times in 5 years. Gary Muller had a nice run at Michigan. Again, he had some off the field issues that led to his ouster at Michigan. There it is. I said it involved drinking. Yeah. Muller resigned from the head coaching position in May of 1995 following a drunken incident at a local restaurant. Okay. So unfortunately for him and the Maize and Blue, he had Michigan going along pretty well there. Now, Lloyd Carr took it over and won a national championship, and aside from the national championship, basically matched what Gary Muller was doing. Lloyd Carr won 80% of his games. Jim Harbaugh is not matching Lloyd Carr or Gary Muller's output at Michigan, certainly not Bo Schembechler territory. So I tend to defend Jim Harbaugh from time to time, but he's not matching his predecessors, going all the way back to 1969. Bo was better. Muller was better. Carr was better. Of course, the 2 most recent predecessors, he's doing much better than Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. But Michigan football from 1969 to 2008 was in much better hands than what Harbaugh is delivering now. I tended to defend Jim Harbaugh a little bit more, but as the losses mount against the better teams on the schedule, not just Ohio State, but anyone they play in postseason play, it's becoming difficult to defend to a certain extent. He's still a capable coach, good coach. He has revamped the coaching staff, and maybe a kick in the rear with this new incentive-laden contract will get him going. So much appreciate Falcon ERX. Falcon ERX joins us on a regular basis on these live chats and kicks in with a contribution. Want to remind everyone out there that we are going to succeed here at the Voice of College Football based on sponsorships, your individual contributions, and whatever other revenue streams we can figure out. Mr. HD, Sir Mark, I just joined the stream. What are we talking about? We're talking about whatever anybody's bringing up. The Rod Farva mentions that Brady Hoke recruited all the players drafted in the 2017 draft for Michigan. Yes, that's how it works. I don't know that we could argue that across the board. Hoke versus Harbaugh recruiting. So Brady Hoke took over in 2010. 2010 was actually Rich Rod's last season. He was there in 08, 9, and 10 and went, 3-9, 5-7, 7-6. And even though 7-6 sounds like an improvement, they were pretty awful. Rich Rod's last game really put the underlying emphasis on his coaching tenure at Michigan when on national television on New Year's Day at the Gator Bowl, Mississippi State hung 52 on Michigan, just annihilated them. All right. So the 2011 class would have been Hoke's first. Brady Hoke's 2011 Michigan class ranked 30th in the country. His 2012 class was 6th in the country. Good for him. His 2013 class ranked 4th in the country. Don't remember that. Look at that. 36 and 4. This is just basically outlining how bad his in-game coaching was and lack of development. Basically, you've got 3 categories of coaching production. You got to recruit the players. So how good are the players you recruit? How talented, with how much upside? And then you have to develop them as players. And then you coach them on game day. So how good are you as a talent evaluator and a salesman to bring the talent to the program? How good are you as a coach, instructor, teacher, mentor, you and your staff to develop the talent to play well and improve? Players should not be the same player as seniors or juniors as they were as freshmen. And then lastly, how well do you strategize and prepare them for the battle on Saturday? And then make the in-game adjustments to win the game on Saturday. Those are basically your 3 components to coaching on the field. Hey, Louie, thank you so much for the support here and encouraging everyone to shop at Amazon using our link in the description section. Go to the description section of any of the videos, grab the link next to Amazon, put it somewhere where you're going to remember it when you shop Amazon. Like, I wish I could effectively communicate to everybody that's watching, which is eventually going to be about 1,000 people, hopefully more than that at some point, but about 1,000 views, that if all of you would shop on Amazon using the link that we provide in the description section, that would make an enormous difference. And it's the same exact shopping experience. All right, Brady Hoke in 2014, the 20th best class. So the 2015, that would have been his class as well. So 36, 4, and 20. And his last class went 37th. Okay, he was all over the map. 30th, 6th, 4th, 20th, 37th. So those 4th and 6th rated classes look really good, and I'm sure that they turned out to be stellar, but that does not balance out 37, 30, and 20. So Harbaugh overall, based on the rankings, and the rankings aren't perfect by any stretch, but they're a great indicator that Harbaugh has still recruited better than Brady Hoke. Yes, we go in depth, Mike 3883. You don't get this everywhere. Absolutely, we go in depth. Let me run these numbers by you. I almost shot a video on this, but it's really not worth it. This is not going to surprise anyone, but it just clarifies the triumvirate at the top of college football right now: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. So we've had 7 college football playoffs. That's 7 times 4. So 28 slots. Those 28 slots have been filled by Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson in 16. So think of this as well. Those 3 teams could only make a possible 21 appearances between them. They could only go once each time. So there are 21 possibilities for Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama to reach the playoffs. 21 possibilities. They reach the playoffs 16 times out of 21. There have been 21 playoff games. There are 3 each season, the 2 semifinals and the championship game. 3 games each season times 7 is 21 playoff games. And those 3 schools have won 17 of the 21 games. So Oregon beat Florida State in 2014. Georgia beat Oklahoma. 2019, LSU won the 2 games against Oklahoma and Clemson. Those are the 4 games that were not won by Alabama, Clemson, or Ohio State. Those 3 schools are 9-1 against the field, meaning they're basically excluding the 1 game where Clemson lost to LSU. The only times that Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State lose is to each other. They only lose to each other. 9-1 against everyone else. They have won 6 of the 7 national championships, LSU the exception in 2019. And they have, so there have been 7 years of the college football playoff, meaning 7 years. There are 2 participants in the national championship game. So that's 14 national championship game appearances. Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State have appeared in 11 of the 14 spots in the championship game. The next in line as elite would be Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma's 0-4 in the playoffs, and they've been outscored by an average of 17 points per game in those 4 games. Yes, Ace 2, the playoff is broken. We have fixed it. Unfortunately, nobody's listening. But we've fixed the playoff with your help. All right, everyone. Appreciate it so much. And again, listen to Louie. Go to Patreon. Please join us there. 16 cents per day on Patreon. And also grab the Amazon link in the description section of any of the videos. We'll be back on Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and at 7 for Miami Football Talk right here at the Voice of College Football. See you next time.